Hey everybody, welcome back to some more early morning barking, talking about BPD and NPD by somebody that has both. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons and do all the socially things scrolling past you on the screen right now. Thank you to everybody that supports me on Patreon. Oh, and there's a new episode of the Early Morning Barking podcast out on Spreaker and SoundCloud and Spotify and iTunes and everywhere you get podcasts and stuff like that. Go and check that out. I've changed it up a bit. It's better now. So today I want to talk to you about narcissistic delusions in relationships, which is a boring and weird title, but I think you get it. We talk a lot about narcissism in relationships and how narcissists negatively treat the people they might be in a relationship with. That's fairly commonplace. But there are other elements that are less spoken of that I've sort of experienced myself and have more to say about. Because I've never... My own NPD, my own narcissism, I was not a physical abuser ever. I don't have any of that in me whatsoever. But I was delusional. Right? What am I talking about with that? I'm talking about when you think things are better than they are. When you, as the person with NPD, who is putting up all these barriers and convincing yourself that things are great when they're not, can do that to a relationship as well. Right? It's not just the common things like, oh, I think I'm more important than I am, or I think I've got a better job than I have, or I think I make more money than I do, or all these other delusional, narcissistic NPD, defense barrier, fail perception things. And this was just another one, and I didn't realize it was happening. And I think it's a thing we do. I had a relationship that I was fucking up. And I knew I was fucking it up. And so what I managed to convince myself of was that I wasn't fucking it up. Even to the point of, well, you can blame somebody else. You can blame all kinds of things as long as I don't get any blame. That's the delusion, right? That's the thing. We'll just pretend everything's fine. We'll not say anything. We'll just continue because everything's fine. Of course everything's fine. As if we could break up. As if I could go too far and cause a breakup. That'd be ridiculous. And of course, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely that was true. Absolutely I could fuck up a relationship. I could make a right mess of things and had absolutely no idea I was doing it, while at the same time had every idea I was doing it. It was a real life kidding myself into believing something that wasn't true. It was a narcissistic relationship delusion. And just like I had similar things with work, and I kidded myself that things were going better than they were, that better things were just around the corner and things were going to change and all of that sort of thing. I kidded myself for ages until the day I couldn't do that anymore. And I realized that in business, everything had gone wrong. Everything was done. There was no bringing it back. And I closed it. And reaching that same point in a relationship is, well, I don't have the words. When you realize that you fucked it up so much, because we're talking about something that means everything, right? I mean, at the time I had two things. I had my business and I had my relationship. My identity, me as a person, was tied up in both things. Still is, right? That's why one of the biggest challenges I face at the moment on the BPD side of things is the shifting sense of self, the identity. Who am I? What do I do? What am I like? All of those things. Because for me, they were all wrapped up in these two things, my business and my relationship. And I broke both things to a point of not really being repairable anymore. And both things were something that I'd invested 15 years of my life into, and that meant everything. And I fucked them up and kidded myself for years that everything was fine. And much like with every bit of narcissism, the thing that stops us getting treatment, right? Everything's fine. Why would I fix anything? Why would I do anything about it? Because everything's fine, right? Everything's great. Business is great. The amazing things are going to happen tomorrow. Definitely tomorrow. Everybody has faith in me that those brilliant things are going to happen tomorrow. So I can just carry on doing this because everything's great. Everything's great in this relationship. Yeah, we've got some problems, but we'll sort it. We're solid. We're sound. Only I didn't realize how bad things were. I was kidding myself. That defensive barrier had gone up to protect me from my obvious failures. And these ones are different, right? We talk a lot about perceived failures. Whereas in these two cases, definite failures. Like, no reasonable person can look at these two situations, my business and my relationship, and say that there were not problems. And yet I didn't know. I had no idea. But at the same time, I did. That's what's so frustrating about it. That's what's so annoying and upsetting. And when I think of either situation, the feeling, the emotion that comes up for me the most is frustration. I'm not a person. Well, actually, yeah. This guy. Keep an eye out. Right? I think that's all I can say. Because, you know, you're not to have to kid yourself. You know, we've talked about all kinds of things. We totally lost my train of thought. We've talked about ways to get over these things, about delusions, about the perceived failures, how they're not. But we've not really talked about avoiding kidding yourself. It's a difficult one, and it takes a lot of soul searching, and it takes a lot of pain to go through. But the problem is that the pain is coming anyway. It is coming because reality is inescapable. It's right there and it's gonna get you. And so you can avoid these things. You can delude yourself. You can pretend that everything's okay, but it isn't. And if it isn't, then that's going to come out. That's going to happen to you eventually. So maybe it's time to stop kidding ourselves and start looking at these things for what they are properly and being honest with ourselves. Yeah. Anyway, you take care. I'll see you later. Bye.